All right, I think we are live. What's up, Nick?
What's up, Dustin? Let's rock and roll. We got Memorial Day weekend.
Yes, it's a holiday weekend,
Yeah.
and we are all so ready for the vacation.
Ready to be closed on Monday, huh?
Yeah, man, looking forward to the
Yeah.
day off. I know my team is. I know I am.
I think the
It's
listeners, they probably know it too. You know what I mean? Memorial. This is
oh,
go time.
it is. It is. I'd be surprised if anybody's listening. They're probably all already drinking at the bar. No, man, it's a good show, good weekend. We're gonna continue our talk about branding, but it's gonna be a little different today. So we talked about branding and how to associate other brands with your brand or
Mhm.
lack of association, whichever side of the road you fall on. And I believe there's. I'm so sorry. There we are.
He's getting called back into the shop.
Yeah, you're looking at the new shop manager of EZN now.
That's
By the
awesome. There you
way,
go. Put that on the
I
add that
don't
to
know.
the list of titles, right?
I don't know if that was a promotion or a demotion. Was I demoted to the?
Before we even start, is that you got the walkie-talkies? Are you guys rocking with walkie-talkies over there?
Oh, we have radios, man. Yeah,
God,
absolutely.
you guys are so cool over there.
We
Man.
have to, dude. It's 6.5 acres. You will walk yourself to death.
Yeah, that's how you get your steps in, you
Yeah,
know?
y'all. You don't miss the steps. I can assure you. No, so we're talking about branding, and last week we talked about a ton of the brands to your brand.
Mhm.
And I think there's absolutely a scenario where you do it. I just think that it's all in how you handle it. Now, this week we want to talk about your brand versus you. So,
Mhm.
like most detailers, or at least most of them, start out where there is no real brand. It's just Dustin or Nick detailing. You know what I mean? We may have a name, and we did have a name, but outside of that, people came to detail because Dustin was here detailing and Nick was there detailing.
Yep.
And I think the show topic today and the discussion should be how and when do we separate ourselves from our brand? And
And I think
just want to kind of.
that word
Mhm,
separate's interesting. You know what I mean?
mhm.
It's like, hey, it's not just like, hey, there's a brand and then there's me. It's sort of
Yeah.
like just figuring out the role and how that plays with the day to day, with the
Yeah.
business in general. So I think
Mhm.
that's an interesting way to put it.
Yeah, and I think as you grow, you inevitably that separation has to start to come, because if everybody's coming just for you and not for the brand, then you're kind of trapped by that. You're
Mhm.
you're stuck in a sense, as all the customers can deal with you. They only associate good detailing or the ability to detail to you and not the brand. And so I think that that separation has to be made, but to what level? And when does that
Mhm.
start? And how does it start? I mean, there's
Yeah.
a lot of good stuff there.
I think the first thing that sort of like you said that comes to mind is like, and I know we're going to get into it a little bit more, but as you grow and you add these employees, it's
Mhm.
elevating them. So, hey,
Yeah.
guess what? When you do that, maybe they talk to me on the phone, I booked them. I'm like, yeah, super excited for the service. When you turn in the car, you're like, hey, Arturo took care of this car. Sergio took care of this car.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
And then what happens is all of a sudden they're like, hey, I got to be with that. That guy takes good care of my car. I want to be with that person. And then guess what? They're not coming for me. They're coming for the service. They're coming, you know
That's
what I
right.
mean? Elevate that person. We saw it on the car detailing side. We see it on the dog grooming side as well.
Absolutely.
Of
Well,
elevating.
and it's part of making yourself seem bigger. One thing that I used to do back when it was just me is I
Mhm.
never said I was doing something. I always said we. Even if
Yeah,
it was just me, I said, we did this or we did that. And I was always trying to make myself seem bigger,
yeah.
to the customer. So it wasn't just me. So that started early in my, business, was trying to create, I guess, that separation.
Yeah, let's get that. Let's get that origin story. Let's hear that
Yeah.
EVN origin before we jump into the
Yeah,
splash.
origin, man.
Yeah.
I started just like everybody else, dude, under a carport with brushes and scratching everybody's stuff up, and for real. I did, and I mean seriously. So started back. It was just myself, and I hired a guy. His name was Marcus, and it was me and Marcus, and we detailed everything for everybody, for
Yeah,
years.
cars,
Um,
boats, pretty much anything that came on the lot.
yeah, I mean, we started with boat. Well, we started with both, but we were known
Okay.
for our boats. I mean, we're
Okay.
a very large boating community, and I had boats, and I always kept my boats detailed, and so people knew of that, and so they wanted to use us for that. I mean, we started very humble though, under a carport, and then I had some property right down the street from where we're at now, and ran business there for a couple of years, and then was able to buy some property down the street, which is currently where we're at now. And it was old and dilapidated. I think Chris actually has a picture of it here. You
Look
could
at that.
when I bought it. He was a diamond in the rough. Let's just say that.
That's awesome, man. And you got the little smart car in front of it. You got your little mark. That's branding right there,
That
right?
was
I'm
my
guessing.
loaner car.
Oh no, you never get. Well, that's good branding for the loaner company.
Everybody, yeah, absolutely. No, so we loan. No, 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 no. That's our car. Yeah, we loaned it to people while they had detailing.
Oh, I
Yeah,
gotcha. Yeah, no,
yeah.
that's awesome.
So yeah, because it got so much attention everywhere it went. But yeah, you can see. I mean, the property was dilapidated. It had sat vacant for 7 years,
Hmm.
and we went in and cleaned it and just did so much work to get it to where it is now. But just I mean, but it didn't start there. It started under a carport. It started humble beginnings. Just like a lot of you detailers out there, it was just me. It's just me and a helper. And but I did treat it different. I always
What
treated
way?
it like a business. It was a business. It was business first. I was always trying to create that separation, even though if I'm doing the work, it was always like I said, we did this and Easy In, did this. I always referred to the brand
Hmm.
because I knew that if it was just me and I was just and everything was me, then creating that separation was going to come harder at a time. And even though it's already hard enough, the more you focus on yourself in that, the harder it is to differentiate yourself from the business.
Gotcha. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
that's
What about
that's a
Splash?
start.
Yeah. What about Splash?
So
Talk
Splash
to us about
starts in
that.
1981. You know what I mean? I look good for my
Wow.
age, but
Yeah. 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 Obviously. Yeah.
yeah, no, but my dad opened the first hand wash on the North Shore of Chicago,
No kidding.
1981. And
That's amazing.
yeah, and it's something where again, I was a kid, right? Same way I'm doing with Parker is 5 years
Yeah.
old there and just at the shop. You know what I mean?
Yep.
There's shop dogs and there's shop kids. You know what I mean? I'm
Yeah.
there
Use
just
the
at
shop
just
kit.
yep,
Yeah.
and I was just there trying to just grasp as much as I could. You know what I
Sure.
mean?
Sure.
And then comes the opportunity, to build Splash. And, it was really interesting because I wanted to make sure that I had those elements that I saw, in these other car washes that we've had.
Yeah. Yep.
And I wanted to be the one washing the car and not behind the desk. Not because I didn't want to do that. It's because I
Yeah.
strongly felt that for a business to be successful, it has to be because of the process, the people, and the service. You know what I mean? Like
Hmm.
instead of someone just coming to see me.
Well,
Yeah.
the thing is, as the owner too, it's important for the owner and or the manager
Hmm.
or anybody to understand the process and know how to do it. So,
Hmm.
recently we went through a shop manager change, and I think some of the issue that that we faced there was his lack of detailing knowledge.
Hmm.
And I think that the reason I have so much respect in my shop is because I know exactly what they need to do and how they do it, and I can do it myself. And I think you probably have that
Yeah, and I think
that
that's
as
something
well.
that's a great point, and it bringing it to branding is like, hey, they build that trust in you, knowing that
Hmm.
hey, no matter what, Nick's there. You know what I mean? That
Right. Right.
umbrella is there for those first when you're first starting out, first couple years. Man, those
Yep.
first couple years are rough. You know it.
They
I
are.
know
They are.
it. And it's a thing of every customer. You're there checking the car. You're there working on the car. You're there doing all these different
Hmm.
aspects. And then as the years go on, and you still have those same customers there, they just know. Okay, look, Splash has got it. I'm just taking
Splat.
my car there.
That's right.
It's yeah. It just builds over time.
So thinking about this brand here, thinking
Hmm.
about your business and I'm owner operator and I don't know when I'm going to hire. Why do I need to separate that? And I
Hmm.
think that maybe there's a situation where you don't.
Yeah,
Maybe you have no intentions of hiring, or if you do, it's just going to be a helper. And
yeah,
I am, I'm the detailer that wants to be the face of this. I want everybody. I want to be the guy,
yeah.
or the girl. Let me make it right here. Um, and so there's a situation where that may be applicable, right?
Yeah, I think if you're trying to be on that super high end where you're doing the job, and then forget
Hmm.
the brand is you, and
Yeah.
and that's you again. I think it comes down to the vision. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? I think it comes down to the culture of where you're trying to go. So if you see like, hey, look, this is where the business is going. I think you forecast your business, I forecast my business. I'm like, look,
Right.
this is what we need to get to. And again, for me, full hand car wash. We got all these employees, right? That culture was the most important thing for me to set in the beginning, right? When it was me and 3, 4, 5 other guys, right?
Yep.
I said to myself, I'm going to be the one in the trenches and build that culture from the bottom up versus me on the phone, me on the cashier side, because that part of it is not as important as the culture in the trenches, because that's who we are.
And I think of my employees as an extension of myself, and I rarely call them employees, by the way. It's our team. That's the way I look at it. It's not like a thing. So they're just an extension of me, and so when we talk about creating separation from everybody has to talk to Dustin to do business with, they should be able to talk to each one of our team members and get the same thing that I would do. Right. Yeah. And so setting these guys up to understand my values and what does this company value, what's important and what's not important. Yeah. And when you interact with the customer, making sure that is the goal and then what the focus is on. And so like that's step one, right? You have to instill that into whoever you're about to, wherever that separation is going to come from. Like the attention's going somewhere. So wherever that attention goes from the customer has to have the same values and the same mindset and goals that you have. So that way that lives on.
And I think it's going to play into, let's say someone's just joined the podcast, right? It's their first day detailing, right? And they've got to decide where that business is going and put those procedures into place to that first car. You're the one doing it. You're the one mobile. You're the one that just walked in your shop, right? Mm-hmm. But you've got to, again, you're going to fail along the way, but you're going to try and make it seem like you've been there for 5 years.
Absolutely.
You've been there for 10.
Absolutely.
And then as those years go by, now you're on year 2. Maybe you've got 1 or 2 guys with you. You got your team growing. Those same values you had on day 1 are consistent as you go through that timeline.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes. Yep. And it carries on, So talking about creating the separation, there's another thing that has to be thought about is the customer has to accept it. The customer also has to be told about the separation. So like when customers used to come in and get a price for detailing, they always ask for Dustin, right?
Yep.
Well, at some point, Dustin cannot be available. And Gabby has to step in.
Yeah.
And so the customer now has to understand that they're interacting with someone else, but the results are still the same.
Yeah.
And so the customer, teaching the customer that they can interact with other people in the company and get the same results is just as important as teaching the employees or your team, that how to continue to give results the way that they were given under your watch.
That back and forth between existing customers, those guys with you from day 1, right?
Yeah.
And someone just moved in the area, right? They just moved down the road from you. They got a boat and they want to go to Easy End. They don't know how it was day 1.
Right.
They're going to walk into that process and not even know who Dustin is.
No, and think that's the way it's been.
And that process elevated by Detail Bookie. Thank you, Detail Bookie. Right.
Yes.
They go online, right? When it's a new customer on Detail Bookie.
Mm-hmm.
They've never met me. They don't know how any of our work has been done. They look at the pictures. You see what I'm saying? That brand has sort of kicked me out the door, right?
Well, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I was just gonna say it kicks me out the door and elevates just that splash part of it without Nick being the centerpiece. Again, when they walk in, they're gonna see me.
And how this happens. So we like to overcomplicate our jobs. We like for it to sound really hard. You know what I mean? Like nobody else can do this. Pricing for detailers is this, and results for detailers is this. Nobody can do it. I'm just the best detailer. I know all. Well, guess what? It's really not that hard. And if you can kind of automate some things and take a systematic approach to pricing, where the vehicles are the same size. Each model's the same size, right? So the size is the same. And then, so condition is the only variable. But if we can rate condition, then we can price it based on a rating or something like that. Like it's very doable for anybody to do my job, and
I'll cut you off just on that condition part, right? I know it's not a, pricing show, but then it's also playing the numbers game and understanding, for every car that comes in and you know what they look like and they're scary, you're going to have one that's going to be like, man, this is the easiest car I've ever
That's
done.
half the work.
You
That's
know what
half
I
the
mean?
work.
So I
Yeah.
when you're at scale, you know what I mean? It's better to create the customer experience,
Yep.
elevate the brand, and not try and get an extra $25 because they got a really dirty cup holder. You know
And
what I mean?
consistent pricing. Consistent pricing
Mhm.
is key. So, like, you know what? It's a little bit dirtier now. Like, are you charging me less because it's clean?
Yeah,
No,
yeah,
probably not. You're probably charging me
that's
your
a great
standard
point.
rate. So,
Yep.
like, you know, unless it's just excessively, you know, way past the realm of norm, then
Mhm.
condition shouldn't necessarily change the price in a sense. Like, unless it's just excessive, right?
Yep. Yep. And then again, we do that one extra line, right? Look, we
Yeah.
have this extra dirty fee. We
Yep.
got you covered. Don't you worry. That
That's right.
customer just gets elevated. They have a better experience. They pick up their car and they're like, dang, it looks brand
And
new.
and we say all these things because without this stuff in place, you
Mhm.
couldn't go pass the buck to the next guy to go get pricing. Okay. So like, all right, I'm detailer today. I'm hiring my guy. I'm starting separation. Okay, the very first thing that has to be done is your systems in place, processes in place that things
Mhm.
can run without you doing that thing. So now if you're gonna go, if I'm moving solely to pricing, well then my new hire has to be solely to detailing. So
Yeah.
every process that I had, I can no longer be the best detailer in the world because now I need him to be the best detailer, him or her to be the
Mhm.
best the best detailer in the world, right? If I go to just detailing, let them go pricing, well, they have to understand the pricing module.
Yeah. It's almost those different segments and making sure that each segment, that education, that training, that process, and it's a learning experience. You know what I mean? I'm
It
like,
is.
you bring in your first person that's on the phone in the shop, man, that is a
Yeah.
fun time to sort of go through those ups and downs because you don't know that process yet either.
Right. No. And you know what this is starting to sound like? It's starting to sound like a real business at this point. And
Yeah.
and I think that that's some of the biggest, struggle we face in the detailing industry is guys just not treating it as a real business and really have no intentions on it. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like that, oh, that sounds good. P&L sounds real good, but I'm just here to wash cars. But what we're saying is there is life beyond that,
Yeah.
and let your pride be in the way that your business runs without you
Mhm.
rather take your pride from get the pride from teaching others rather than showing off yourself maybe.
And look, we're over here in the north, we'll call it,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
And we haven't been busy in February and March. We build in February and March for now. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
right.
So right now, anyone that's listening, that's detailing, they're booked out. Hey, look, we cannot get any more cars in before Memorial Day, right?
Yeah,
Cars,
right.
boats, planes, whatever it is.
Whatever it is.
That should be your red flag to be saying to yourself and your business, hey, we need to put some processes in place once we slow down again to
Yeah,
get ready for next Memorial Day,
to
next 4th
grow.
of July. So instead
That's
of just
right.
doing 5, 10, 20 cars this weekend, we can get to 25. Great.
Mhm.
How do we get there?
Yeah, absolutely. So creating that separation, it happens in the growth phase, right? So
Mhm.
when you start to grow, you have to start to distinguish the business versus you. And we
Mhm.
do that by, like you said, developing processes of what you want your other team to do, where you can go focus on other things inside the business. And now I'm not saying that you're no longer the face of the business. So, like, in my
Get
opinion,
that ego out of here, Dustin. You're not the face anymore. They're coming because
you're
easy end.
You're probably right, and I hope you're right because this face isn't that pretty. So, but still, I think that is with the marketing that we choose to do. We do a lot of video, we do a lot of
Mhm.
entertaining video that
Mhm.
I'm usually in, and
Yeah.
so we know that people relate Easy In to Dustin and
Yeah.
Dustin to Easy In. Now, I don't think that you have like I go live on an island somewhere and never am associated with Easy In. I think that
Yeah.
the separation is at a level of this place can run with or without me, but we still use my I don't want to say popularity in a like a
No, but
egotistical way, but
you have
like
your own
the
audience,
yeah,
your
like
own sort of reach.
yeah, right, and it's not an egotistical thing, it's just
No.
it's just happened, and
Mhm.
so we use that for attention for the business, and
Yeah.
so there's still a connection, right? We're not trying to completely we're not this isn't the conversation of selling the company or your exit strategy. This isn't that
Yeah.
conversation. That
No.
conversation is another podcast, right?
Yeah.
This is all about like just enough separation where you're just not where people aren't just coming to find Dustin Jackson or Nick to do the detail.
I think it's the scaling, right? It's just the
Yes.
conversation of using branding to scale. And in that process, guess what? You've got more responsibilities. You're not
Yeah.
going to be able to touch and see and interact with every
Right.
customer,
Yep.
right? And or vehicle. So it's a natural process that it should be discussed. It should be thought about before it happens to save
Absolutely.
people some time and headache for
A-
sure.
Agreed. Agreed. Yeah. So, it's interesting. I think this conversation is a fun one. I think that people are going to struggle. I think detailers are going to find that it's harder than they think
Yeah.
to start that separation because customers are relentless. Let me tell you something. It's taken years for me to not get blown, for people to not ask to speak to Dustin when they're calling in for a price, and
Mhm.
then say, hey, I'll wait on him to call me back.
Yeah.
Okay, like they will keep going through the process with someone else. They still ask for me a lot,
Yeah.
but it's he's in a meeting. How can I help you? And oh, I need to get a price on such
Oh,
and
you
such.
do
And
the
then we go
meeting. I tell
every
them
time.
pick a tropical island. If they ask for
Oh,
Nick, I say, look, pick any place in the world. Say he's in Fiji. I'm actually on the dog side. You know what I
right.
mean? I tell them, look, you know.
That's
One question I
hilarious.
had for you is when a customer comes in, let's say that you haven't seen them in a minute, and they're like, "Man, you're never here anymore,"
Oh, it happens every
right?
time. It happens all the time.
I
Yeah,
know. How does that make you feel? Because initially, made me, you know what I
that's
mean?
a
Like
good
I
question.
felt sad. I was like, man, I
Yeah,
know, man. You know
yeah.
them well. You've seen them for years, and for whatever reason, maybe they've come in 2 or 3 times for a car wash, a detail, whatever
Oh,
it
and
is.
it
You
happens
miss
to a
them.
few of them, and they do, and they really the legit think that you're never here. And
Yeah,
when you're
yeah,
thinking like, yeah, I turn more hours here than anybody in this company, like,
yeah, yeah.
but
I'm like, I'm here 7 days a week, and I'm so sorry I missed you. You know what I mean? But
right, yeah, how
but
did
I think what's important, and again, this I don't know if this is right or wrong. It's the
mhm.
fact that they're still coming back,
They're still coming
right?
back
They're
with or
coming
without.
back and they're happy with the service. I'm like, man, I'm so sorry I missed you. How's
Yep,
the service? You see what I'm
yeah,
saying? That's where I get
yep.
the best honest feedback of what we can improve.
I love
And
it.
that's how I take it now because there's just, it's
Mhm.
just hard.
It is hard, and it's hard when this is your baby. Like all of our businesses start out as our baby, right?
Yeah.
And as it grows up, it's flying the coop, and you have to be willing to accept that. So when you hear those things, or you're never here anymore, or do you still work here? We get all the comments, and it's funny. And I get it. Like
Yeah.
they don't see me as much, but it's
It
also
hurts. It
say,
hurts.
yeah, it
Let
does.
people know that it
It
hurts.
does,
Okay.
yeah. Just be ready for it. You're probably going to tear up a little bit when it
Yeah.
happens.
But it's part of it. So it's a good time there. But
you
yeah,
know,
I wanted to get your feedback on that because I
I
know I
guess
got
in
that the other
this
day.
graduation season, you're graduating from one job at your
Yeah.
company and moving on to the next, and so there's transition change. There's always a challenge to it, but just know that. And I say this a lot, like if you're the only person that can do one thing in your business, that
Mhm.
thing, then you're going to be the only person that does that thing, and nobody
Yeah.
else can do it, and nobody else will do it, and you're trapped by that.
Yeah.
But if anybody can do your job, okay, that's the way you should be building your business. Is anybody can do my job. Like
Yeah.
if I'm out, you do my job.
You got
Okay,
you got you.
we're not building rocket ships, and if we were, there's a process to that too. These guys aren't just inventing this shit along the way. There's processes in place,
Yeah.
and I think I could do it. I honestly think I could build a rocket ship.
I think Dustin, you know what? If you that next venture is just EVN rocket building,
Not
right?
happening. Not happening. There's no more adventures. My checkbook says
No,
that.
I think that's a good transition. So look, as you're removed a little bit or you've got
Yeah.
other projects going on, right?
Yep.
And the brand is elevated and it's doing great and you're ready to tackle something new. How, you know what I mean? How have you done that? How have you
Oh
sort of
man.
started these different ventures outside of EZN?
Yeah. I mean, you end up with a little extra time on your hands, and
Mhm.
so opportunities present themselves. You're wanting to grow certain aspects of the business. Maybe that means starting another business to
Mhm.
support that. And I think you do that, and you treat it as if it were just like the detailing business when it was coming up. You get in
Yeah.
there and you work hard, and then you grow out of that. And so it happens organically. And if you have an entrepreneurial mindset, not that in your blood, it's kind of a blessing and a curse,
Yeah.
right? We get bored quick. I know I do. I get bored quick. I want to create. Like the fun stuff is solving the problems and getting it going. And
Yep.
then once it's going and making money, I'm like, that's no more fun.
Once
Like
that Rubik's Cube is solved. You know what I
I
mean? It's
mean, yeah, what is it then? A paperweight? So no, and it's going to happen. So as you grow out, just know that you're going to have more time on your hands. So do you double down on the current business? Do you expand? Do
mhm.
you look at other opportunities that are around you? There's so many different ways you can go there. But it absolutely happens where you're going to end up having more time on your hands as you start to separate yourself. And then some of it may be just solving the growing pains of watching your customers cringeworthy interact with. I mean, watching your employees cringe when they deal with your customers. It can be
They you
bad.
know what? And that's a learning process too. You know what I mean? That's a
Yeah,
feeling that it's like, man, you could do it. I'm not gonna say better, but differently, right?
yeah,
And
yeah.
it's a thing where, but that's okay because they're gonna keep getting better too.
Let
You
me
know what
tell
I mean?
you. Let me tell you what's awful.
Oh no.
Listen to do sales call reviews,
Yeah.
sales calls. So like it's software. We do a lot of them, but in the girls, the sales team up front. I mean, when we do a sales call review, and then you have like what's called a like the white hat and the black hat. So somebody's there is supposed to speak positive to the review. Somebody there is supposed to
Mhm.
pick out all the negative to the review. So you'll know
Yeah.
this when you grow into this. Not you, Nick, but the listening audience. As they grow into this size,
I'm
you
growing
realize you got to
too.
do
We're
these things.
growing too over here. Hey, I'm in the audience. I'm a
Yeah,
student here. I got my notebook out.
but dude, it is so funky to have to listen to your employees deal with customers and say things you're like, oh, why did you say that? And so get ready for that, man. It's not the most fun thing. I really don't like doing it because I'm
No.
like, oh, you should have said this, or why didn't you say that? Like,
Yeah.
no, don't say that,
So,
or you're never answering the phones again. I had that conversation.
what are your thoughts for okay, so for splash side, right?
Yeah,
Um, again, let's say I think we right around year 8 was when we did the dog spa,
yeah.
right? Which is a totally different business model, right? I can't cut a dog's hair. I can bathe the dog. I can do the nails. I love, you know what I mean? I love sort of being
Yeah,
around and learning that aspect of it.
sure.
But that's a business where I didn't have all of that, like, hey, start from the bottom and work your way up. You see what
Right.
I'm saying? So
Yeah,
it's a
yeah, yeah.
totally different business model versus when we added the Splash mobile unit, different business, but
Different.
under that umbrella. You see what
Yep.
I'm saying?
Yep.
Um, have you done anything on that side where you don't have that fallback of, guess what? Someone calls off, I can polish his car out, I can get that done. Because that was a
Marketing.
confidence thing growing up where I just
Yeah.
knew,
Oh, it's huge confidence. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Like, and it's a different element when you talk about dealing with your team. If you can go
Mhm.
just go do their job, marketing would definitely be the one. I shout out to our marketing team. They do a
They're awesome. Yeah.
fantastic job. But yeah, like the only experience I had was just doing my own stuff, and
Yeah.
I have a very strong opinion about the way our marketing should be done, but
Mhm.
execution and how it should be done. And I was way off the mark. I mean, when I hired Madison, she was like, holy shit, Dustin, you're doing everything wrong.
No, you're out, Dustin.
Yeah, yeah, literally, literally. I mean, and then, like
But
the same
the
one.
fallback for me was right, and I
Mhm.
think you're going to say it's the same for you. Was that the business process, the culture, right?
Mhm.
Was how I
Mhm.
ran the business. Doesn't matter what business it
Absolutely.
is.
Yep.
It's the integrity and,
It's your
treating
values.
people right and those values of,
Yep.
guess what? That's scalable across any business.
That's
Where
that's
you know,
spot on.
you
Spot
know,
on. And attention to detail that we're detailers have organically
mhm.
it plays well into other businesses. Your willingness to get things right and to spend that extra time, it does play well into other businesses. And then of course, like you said, the values. I mean, what you've said, what made your detailing business great will make any other business great in the world. You just got to put those things into place and make sure that your team believes in that as much as you do.
And as that team grows, you know what I mean? You're going to be able to do these different ventures because I think anyone that's listening that is a detailer that jumped into detailing that wants to, you know what I mean? You already did it once, right? You already
Right.
started from ground one. You already did it once. Eventually, it's not going to be tomorrow, you know what I mean? But you're going to want to do another adventure, and that confidence of what you already done is going to let you take that leap again. Um, and I think that's pretty interesting with the branding aspect of it, where Splash is there, and you're solving that Rubik's cube. You're
Yep.
75% there, and you're like, man, I love it. I've got this little bit of extra free time. I've got this extra space. What the heck am I going to put next to
What
the
am I
car
gonna do?
wash? right?
Yep.
We're going to be washing some dogs and washing some cars. And, and that's not saying that everyone's going to do that, but it's like, hey, guess what? Now that other detailer's like, man, I really love detailing, but I'm going to go get my real estate license, right?
Yeah.
Sell houses on the side, right? That hustle, that same
Absolutely.
hustle in there is just not, I don't know. I love that. I absolutely love that.
Oh, I do too. And it just comes natural to me. I mean, it's not something that I can turn on or off. I mean, it's always on. I'm not going to lie. It's probably switched a little more off right now.
Come
I
on,
can't even,
Dustin.
dude.
Why? Why?
Oh,
Look
that's
at
extension. Oh man, no, it's like you come to a point where we're solving problems and
Mhm.
building and software and marketing and events and we have a lot going on right now, and so like it's I think we're kind of at that top tier echelon of okay, like some things got to level off a little bit before I could even consider anything else, and
So
so
have you? Okay, but you're always thinking.
I'm always thinking.
What's that next project? What's that next project that you're
I'm
not
not even
going to
gonna tell
do?
you. You're not baiting me into that shit.
I
I'm not doing it. There is nothing. Everybody listening, Madison,
Yeah,
Chelsea,
they're
my
all
dad.
shaking. They're over there
Oh, my
shaking like,
dad's going. If you say anything, I'm leaving.
yeah. Come on, to the
Yeah.
listeners, at the end of the show, this is the
Yeah.
hook. This is the thing that's going to
No.
get put out on Instagram.
Yeah.
Dustin's going to start a finish that sentence.
Nothing.
Nothing.
Dustin's
Oh,
gonna start finishing some job. I mean, finishing some companies. No. Oh
that's
no,
funny,
man.
man.
Look. We are in that phase of really bolt down, buckle in,
Mhm.
and grind out. And I'm enjoying it. It's different for me, but I'm enjoying where we're at. It's the discipline side. It's okay, we've got these things up and running now. They got to make money.
Yeah.
We're fine tuning the cost and drilling down expense and those kind of things, which I enjoy too. By the way, I'm a
That stuff,
numbers
I
guy.
hate doing that. That's the worst. That's the worst, Dustin. I just go and you know what? We're good. Just keep trucking along.
Yeah.
There's again, that there's good. That the industry,
Sales solves all problems, right? Just make more money. Yeah.
but it's also for me it goes back to that 5-year-old and as a shop kid. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And seeing how my dad was again the brand, right? But also what I picked up on was not necessarily just the customer interactions, but it's how he treated the employees.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And how he was the opportunities given, and that's the brand. That's what I care about. That's what Splash is.
That's it, and that's what it should be. And I think that's your the way you treat your team is more important than the way you treat your customers, and I think that has
Poor
to.
customers. Yeah.
Yeah, poor customers, right? All right, so summing it up, listen, if it's as you're growing, if you're an owner operator, single detailer, and everything is all about you and you're the guy or the girl, that's fine. You have a decision to make. Am I just going to lean heavy into this and it's probably going to end and die with me? Probably not going to carry on much further past that. Maybe if I have a son or a daughter that would pick it up, but still it's a lot of me there.
Yeah.
Or am I going to say, hey, I want to grow this thing bigger than myself? And if you go left, if you go growing it bigger than myself, then you have to start to condition your team, whether it be 1, 4, 5, 10, whatever, none. When you hire, you got to condition them. Hey, I'm got to create separation here, and you got to start conditioning your customers to understand that it's more than just you, and that other people can help solve their problems.
Yeah, no, I'm just gonna say I agree. Let's go jump into Memorial Day weekend.
Yeah.
I know I've got a line of cars. I know you got boats out.
We do, man.
Into the street.
They're
And
piled on
everyone listening, I know everyone's having an awesome weekend. This is go time for everyone. Hopefully no one's caught in the rain. You know what I mean? We were
no rain. Yeah, man. Looking forward to a good weekend. Detailers, be safe out there. Don't work all weekend, guys. Take the family to the zoo.
Monday. Be off on Monday.
All right.
Work this weekend. Be off on Monday.
That's right. That's right. Listen, man, let's go enjoy it. Great show as always, Nick. Thank you, brother. And we'll be back next week for another show.
Appreciate you guys.
Thank you.